Welcome to episode number 71 of the Between Two Brands podcast. I am still your host, Bill Petrie. And as always, thank you for joining me on today's podcast party. I think we have a fun show for you. But before we do, let's go ahead and pay the rent, shall we? Hey, in 2026, and really the last few years, your clients are looking for more than just a product with their logo on it. What they're looking for are rock solid merchandise solutions that are more than just innovative. They're going to be used for months and years to come. Now, let me introduce you, or maybe in a few cases, reintroduce you to the good folks over at Coaster Stone and Buttons Galore. Now, they are the original manufacturer of the absorbent stone coaster with unmatched quality, durability, gorgeous edge-to-edge decorating that allow your creative designs to come to life in full, vibrant color detail. Now, since 1983, Coaster Stone and Buttons Galore have really set the standard when it comes to delivering a retail-inspired experience to any client function. Instead of boring and plain packaging, how about packaging options that are customizable? They pioneered that. Coaster Stone and Buttons Galore deliver value far beyond the product itself. And did you know that they manufacture their pinback buttons right here in the USA? Well, they do. And those buttons are some of the most ideal, cost-effective, and fun pieces of branded merchandise around. Now, that combination of stone cold quality, striking decoration, low cost per impression, and unmatched value, David Glenn and his team are ready to help you make a rock-solid impression with your clients today. Go ahead and email them at promo@coasterstone.com to start your next project. Why not do it today? All right, as I record this, it is May the 6th, which is a Wednesday. And I know this episode is not dropping until Friday, May 22nd, because if everything goes the way I'm hoping to, right now, as you're watching or listening to this, I am on a beach in Jamaica. So I was going to talk about preparing to go on vacation, recording all these podcasts. But I thought, I feel like I've covered that before. So let's talk about something else. I think I've seen some of the strangest corporate pivot I've ever seen. So we live in an era where every company, technology, whatever, every company is defined by its relationship to AI or lack thereof. So if you're not familiar with the company Allbirds, they were a direct consumer company that made wool sneakers very popular in Silicon Valley in the 2010s. And I see quite a few people in our industry would wear them because they were comfortable and very breathable, and they're super great for trade shows. Now, notice I said past tense. I said they were a direct to consumer company that made wool sneakers. Well, they issued a statement last month in April that it's completely abandoning the shoe business to become an AI firm. Here are the details. Stick with me for a minute because this is bizarre. An unspecified investor has put up $50 million to fund the brand's pivot to AI compute infrastructure. And that money is going to go towards data center tech instead of shoe production. They've changed their name from Allbirds to New Bird AI and issued this statement. So I'm going to read this. The rise of AI development and adoption has created unprecedented structural demand for specialized high-performance compute that the market is struggling to meet. The result is a market where enterprises, AI developers, and research organizations are unable to secure the compute resources they need to build, train, and run AI at scale. Newbird AI is being built to help close that gap. The company will initially seek to acquire high-performance, low-latency AI compute hardware and provide access under long-term lease agreements, meaning customer demand that spot markets and hyperscalers are unable to reliably service. Man, do I hate corporate speak like that. It is just such a word salad, but that's what they're doing. So, which is crazy because just 5 years ago in 2021, Allbirds had a market valuation of $4 billion with a B dollars after an IPO. And after that happened, they did struggle to find a market for their shoes outside of the West Coast, and they were sold for pennies on the dollar to a brand management firm this past March. So as I read this, I was just gobsmacked. It just seemed like the strangest corporate pivot I've ever seen. So I have some thoughts. It's frankly just weird to see a clothing company drop that clothing part in favor of buying processing units to lease to clients. That just is such a strange record needle across the record scratch. hard left turn without tapping the brakes, just weird. And it made me start thinking about AI and where we're at with AI. And I've made no secret. I use AI, and as a lot of people do as well. I use it as a collaborator for me. Bobby Leahy, a future guest, and we're going to talk a lot about AI. But it has so many practical applications. It does feel like the bubble is going to burst because the infrastructure spending on AI far outpaces the current revenue. And I feel like there's a sharp correction on the horizon. And then if why pivot the company as opposed to just shutting down Allbirds and saying we're going to take some people from Allbirds who maybe have expertise and we're going to build a new company. That makes so much more sense to just start something new rather than transition, unless maybe that was a goal to have people like me talk about it because it's weird. I mean, I guess they kind of did start something new, but the transition is just weird. And then I thought, it's again, riffing on that weirdness, it would be like Ticketmaster getting out of the concert gouging business to open up a series of restaurants. It's just hard for me to make sense of it. So I don't know if you guys have seen this, what you think of it, if you did know about it, didn't know about it. It's just plain weird. So I don't know. Maybe Newbird AI is going to do some great things. Who knows? I wish we knew. I sure don't. But what I do know is this: it's time to pay the rent again. Hey, do you know what season it is? That's right. That's right. It's business valuation season. Now, perhaps you don't know what your company's worth. Maybe it's been more than a few years since your last valuation and you need a new benchmark to see if your company is increasing in value. Heck, you might want to see if it's time to sell your business. Now, regardless of the reason, Jamie Watson and her team at Certified Marketing Consultants have extensive experience in the world of branded merchandise and the financial knowledge necessary to provide a fact-based valuation of your business. All you need to do is email them at info@certifiedmarketing.com and have a confidential discussion today. All right, that's enough of me weirding out about all birds becoming new birds. Let's get to our guests. All right. My guest today, I say this all the time, but this time I mean it. My guest today does not need an introduction at all. However, I got time to fill and I like wasting your time, my time, and his time. So let's go ahead and introduce him anyway. He's been in the promotional products industry since 1999, starting at Belding Sports. Did anybody remember Belding Sports? Starting at Belding Sports before spending most of his career at Gold Star in September 2025, he joined Fossa Apparel as their first chief revenue officer. That's CRO for those of you keeping score at home. Ready to take everything he's learned and push it to a new level with a brand he really believes in. Outside of work, he's a dad to 4 incredible kids and a blended family. And if he's being honest, and I've never known him not to be, his toy poodle Ollie is the favorite, and his kids are very aware of that. Now, for what he'd like to put on his Tinder profile, and I did not ask for that, so I am now very uncomfortable, but this is what he'd put on his Tinder profile. He's a 90s and 2000s hip hop guy at heart, always down for a live show and grew up on storytelling comedy. His Mount Rushmore of comedy is Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, and Dave Chappelle, and that's totally wrong, which we will get into later in the podcast. He loves old school German cars. There's nothing like the natural feel of the road, especially through the canyons and coastlines of his beloved Northern California. And when it comes to food, and I do know this for a fact, he'll take a deep dive into any culture's cuisine. The more authentic and flavorful, the better. He's hit a point in life where he's found a true balance, and he's still hungry to make something great at Fossa, but he's a lot more present for everything else that matters. Please join me in welcoming the Kenniest of all Veds, Kenny Ved. Kenny, thank you for doing this, man.
Thank you so much, Bill. And I will say that you've done a pretty good job in doing a deep dive Google search on Kenny Ved. Well done.
Well, you know what? Thank you. I,
Well
I
done.
am I am a wizard on the keyboard.
You
Hey,
are. You
so you started off at Belding Sports. How in the hell? First of all, I'm one of the few people that actually remember Belding. How did you find this industry? How did you even get in it?
What a great question, Bill. By accident, because my family
Like
was
all
not
of
in it.
us.
Just like most of us in this industry, by accident. It was a ad in the Penny Saver, if you can
Oh
recall the Penny Saver.
man,
I might
you're
still have that ad, actually.
Someone told me recently that they got into the industry by answering an ad on Craigslist, and I thought that was old school. And then you're
Yeah.
whipping up a penny saver on me?
Penny Saver, bro. Penny Saver. This is before, AOL.
That is correct.
This is
So
before AOL. So
yeah.
started out at Belding Sports
Mhm.
in customer service in the green grass division.
Okay.
Things were going well, and there was this small promo entity within the building, and I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
that's interesting. Let me kind of learn a little bit over there.
Yeah.
Uh, Jumped into the promo side of it, and that's how it all started. I mean, it was very small. This was back in the day when Cirque was around.
I remember Cirque
Yep.
very well.
Yeah. Yep. And we had some multi-lines that kind of taught me the way. And yeah, I
And
was
here
there
you
for a
are.
few years. And then
In well, and
it
then you
was up for
migrated to
sale.
Gold Star, right?
Yeah, it
And
was up for sale. And I'm like, oh, this is
time to
gotta
go.
make a move. Multi-lines linked me up with Gold Star back then and
Yeah.
started out as a sales manager. There was two of us.
Yeah.
And then slowly climbed my way up.
Yeah, you were there for a long time, 24 years according to my Google searching.
24 years is correct. And boy,
And
we had a good run.
you did a great run. And honestly, you were really, along with Charles Dugan, the face of Gold Star for years, being the Simplicity Brothers and all uh, the great marketing you did. I know RJ Hagel was a big part of that as well, but you and Charles were the face of the organization. You started off as a national sales manager, but then you rose all the way to director of global sales. I mean, to an incredibly large company. What did you learn about yourself as you climbed that corporate ladder?
Oh, that's a good question. So at Gold Star, for me, it was three Super Bowls, is how I kind of viewed it.
Yeah.
We were family owned,
Yep.
and that was a different dynamic, heavily mail order driven. And then we had the
Hmm.
small promo division and see how can we make this work. So those nuances kind of working through that. It was obviously a different world in promo.
Right.
And then when the family decided to exit, they sold it
Yep.
to a private equity company, and we all kind of hear those horror stories. But it was an absolute blessing for my career and the organization.
Yeah.
Berwyn had purchased us, and they invested quite a bit of money into what we wanted to do. And I was like, "Oh, that's a Super Bowl moment. Here's
Hmm.
what we can do. Let's present it, and let's see where it takes us." Had a fantastic run in that first cycle. Then they decided to sell to another private equity firm.
That's usually how it goes.
That's usually how it goes.
It's like reading the Bible. One sale begets another sale, begets another
Another
sale.
sale. So from there, we learned a lot in the first journey. Lot of investments. The
Mhm.
industry is thriving. It's getting into this digital age. We were predominantly in the writing instrument space, so for
Mhm.
us, it was market share.
Yeah.
At that time, writing instruments were around 15% of the overall promo spend. So it was like, oh, we have a lot of opportunity here.
Mhm.
That gradually declined, and we had to obviously make some
Sure.
shifts, and the private equity firm allowed us to do that. Social media was taking hold. You led the way, Mr. Zezo led the way, and we're like, oh, there's a little something here. I remember sitting in your classes and in your presentations, and I'm like, all right, let's try. Let's bring another little guy into this. It took shape, and we're like, whoa, we've got something. We
Yeah.
ran with it. Mr. Dugan and I linked up. And if you don't know, we were the Simplicity Brothers, and I
That's
think we'll,
right.
we'll probably have it on our tombstone.
I believe you
Yeah,
will.
yeah, closest friend in the whole industry, Mr. Dugan. So
Yeah.
just we had a fantastic run. We had no plan. We just found something sticky, as he would say, and we ran with it.
Yeah.
And it became our kind of brand identity in the promo world.
For people who don't know Charles, and honestly, and this is not hyperbole, one of the truly nicest humans, period. Not in the industry. He's just a very genuinely nice human being, and you don't get to say that a lot.
No, no, you don't. He came out of his shell. The folks that knew
Hmm.
Charles Dugan before, he's
Oh
wearing
yeah,
his khaki pants, his red polo. I'm like, dude, do you work at Target? Like, what's going on?
yeah.
And he had a different side, and his wife is very appreciative of that. So I'll take
And
full credit.
and you should, because he embraced that,
He did.
and you learning how to leverage comedy, how to leverage, not being so stuffy and being able to make fun of yourselves was such a big deal with the Simplicity Brothers. I thought that was kind of the secret sauce.
Well, I appreciate that. And that was front facing, but behind the
Yeah.
scenes, we took all of that and
Oh
and
yeah.
and did something with it, right? As service the
Absolutely.
distributor partners, learn from them and become an extension of who they are. So it was all about market share for us
Yeah.
at that point and riding the wave of what was culturally accepted.
Yeah.
And then, we were kind of aging, so we had to find our space, and
You weren't aging, you were gaining more experience.
no doubt. Yeah, but listen, it's hard to sell cool with gray hair.
It is. Oh, now, it'd be almost irresponsible if I didn't address this. I mean, you were there 24 years and then you left. How challenging was it to leave after the track record of success you had there?
Yeah, it was we had a good run, but it was time for me, I think personally.
Mhm.
Three of my kids, one graduated college, two are in college. So it was time for me to say, all right, I don't need to necessarily have this hustle in my life. I want to understand, well, I just want to be a better human
Yeah,
and reflect on myself, take
yeah,
time for myself. But lots of learnings, and
yeah.
it was good. It was good. I'm very appreciative of the opportunity. Love everyone over there. The company's doing great, so
Good.
it
Well,
was good.
and I think age has something to do with that too. You know, we brought up in this culture, and you want it's a grind and hustle, and you know, you and I are similar age. I'm 56. I think you're a couple years younger than me.
Hmm.
Um, I was raised to believe, hey, you're going to go to college and you're going to get a job and you'll be there for 30 years and you'll give them 30 years of your life. You'll get your 2 weeks of vacation. You'll get some sort of pension. You'll get a gold watch and a pat on the head. And obviously, things were not like that. That was my father's generation
Right.
got that. But I, always had a hard work ethic. I still do, but I think it's taken me years of experience to get to a point of where I work very hard. Like, and I know you do, but I also work very hard at not working hard at times.
Yeah.
Like you know me, I'm the solopreneur. This is my job. This is just me. There's nobody else. And I have what's called FOF. It's a fudge off Friday. You can say what you will, and that's every other Friday. I really don't work. I get a 3 day weekend every weekend because I grind and push so hard the first 4 days a week. So I get to have things done. I don't work on the weekends, and I get to spend time with my family, my wife, that's important stuff. And
Absolutely.
I'm in being present. And I know that's something that's very important to you.
Yeah. And as you know, from the supplier side, it's very challenging. We live on the road.
Mm.
I
It's
live on the
it's
left coast.
crazy.
It's a lot. Three weeks out of the month, it takes a physical toll, a mental toll, an emotional toll.
Right.
Um, and it's all fun and dandy when you look at a photo or a video, but there's a
Uh,
grind to that. Leave on a
oh,
Sunday, come back on a Thursday. It's a lot.
it's gotten to the point where every May, so right around when this drops, and people know I'm recording early because theoretically, right now, as you're listening to me and Kenny, I have a drink in my hand, my toes in the sand. That's the goal, folks. But
Love it.
anyway, every time I think of May, I think of, man, it is time for all the big distributor national sales meetings. And then you got the regional shows, you got ASI Chicago, you've got NALC, you've got WLC, you got all these things. It's like, I don't. I say it a lot. I don't know when suppliers get work done during the summer, actual work, because you're right. People see the pictures and we're having a great time and you're in great places, but it is work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's work. So I shout out to every supplier out there, going through the grind. It's all
Yeah.
worth it in the end. I promise you. Just keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you're at Fossa now, great company. And for those unfamiliar with Fossa, and there might be, why don't you use this platform to tell both our listeners about the company?
Both of our listeners, well,
Yeah.
outside of the us two listening to the podcast,
Oh,
shout
well,
out
then
to
why don't
those
you just
two.
tell me?
Just tell you.
Just tell
Perfect.
me.
Fossa Apparel, absolutely a great organization. Michelle Chen, the president and one of the founders, her and I have been close friends over our careers. I would say 15
Yeah.
plus years, and she lives out here in Northern California just as I do. And the thing that really gravitated towards me and Fossa is how they go to market,
Yeah.
is retail inspired
Yeah.
designs that fit a void in the promotional product space. We have
Well,
the off the shelf things and we can have fully custom, but Fossa fits the bill right in the middle.
it
Uh,
does. I'm going to jump in. So you saw me about
Go,
to
go, go,
jump
go,
in.
go, go, go ahead.
It's one of the few pieces of apparel that I've gotten in this industry, and it's not a slight at any other apparel manufacturer, but it's the first piece of apparel I've worn and repeatedly, and it's actually the shirt you're wearing right now, the overshirt. I've worn that, and people will touch it. Where did you get this? Can't get it. It's industry, and people are shocked that it's an industry shirt. That is one of the highest compliments I know. I've told you that. I've told Michelle that as well.
Yeah, retail inspiration is really where we're at.
Yeah.
It's designed with women in mind first. The silhouettes are women inspired. We use retail as our inspiration. So when you take that and fill this void in this marketplace, and I'm not knocking anybody that wants to buy something
No.
off the shelf, but we're filling a void of, hey, I want to get retail. Maybe it could be cost prohibited, or I just don't have access to it based on the
Mhm.
the, the volume that they require.
Right.
They certainly can't decorate. I mean, that's a
Right.
whole separate challenge.
That is.
We fill that void internally where we can do everything from start to finish. You have the retail inspired designs on the shelf. We can do semi-custom, and then we can do a full custom.
Well, and I think that's a smart way to go to market. And you and I have talked about this offline. I think Michelle's part of those conversations too. We are really at a precipice. And I think we can kind of thank COVID in a way for
Hmm.
this, that people are willing to spend a little bit more and have for a little less volume, but have a higher quality, whether a piece of promo, whether it's garment, a Bluetooth speaker, whatever it is. People want something that's substantial.
Yes, yes. People, the lifestyle apparel market is pretty unique, right? We're all proud of where we work and we want to
Sure.
broadcast it, but I think those bold imprints have kind of taken a step back, and it's more of the comfort. And I do want to wear it on the weekends and
Yeah.
after hours. Go from corporate to casual. Fossa
Yeah.
Apparel allows you to do that.
Yeah. My son's girlfriend, we were at a dinner with them and it was cold, so I gave her that shirt to wear. She didn't want to give it up. You've been on the job for 9 months now.
Yes.
I always like this question because it's not an easy question to answer, but how will you and your team define success after year one?
Whew, that is a great question. So first and foremost is building it internally, is making sure that we have the processes and people in place to sustain the growth that we're certainly trying to achieve. And I think understanding who our customers are, and filling those voids with what their needs are, so we can be an
Mhm.
extension, is number one. I'm very
Yeah,
confident in our styling and our service levels, our decoration. All of that is great, but it's really narrowing who the right partners are. I think coming from a commodity space where everybody can use a pen, and certainly everybody can use some apparel, but retail
absolutely.
inspired apparel that fills that corporate void is for a segment of partners that we really want to work with.
I almost think it's, when I think of Fossa, and this is not me pumping up your company, I'm just being honest. Here's what separates Fossa for me. There's promotional products or branded apparel I'll wear during the week. That's shit I wear on the weekend.
Yeah,
That's a difference. That's a
that is
big
the
difference
difference.
that I reach for it when I don't have to.
Right, right. It just becomes a natural extension of you and your
Yeah.
brand identity, but your comfort with the style. And
I, I wore it a lot at Expo. You saw me wearing
yeah,
it.
I was
Michelle saw me
surprised.
wearing it. And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
people were like, "Where'd you get that?" I'm like, "Fossa." I'm like, "Oh, I gotta talk to Kenny Ved." What's you We're heading into the second half of the year as this drops. What is your biggest goal for the Fossa brand heading into the remainder of 2026?
Well, there's a few. First is market share, but I think it's brand positioning is really putting our position in the marketplace to have our identity, and that's the biggest goal that I think that we're gonna kind of put forth. But obviously revenue as well.
Well, sure. That absolutely, that's awesome. That goes along with it. I really, like I've told you and Michelle, I just think what you guys are doing is incredible. I love the fact that it's women inspired first, or women designed first with that first thought. I love it. You guys are doing great. So let's talk about some career accolades, Kenny.
Sure.
You were This is coming from a waning moon, but you were a rising star in 2016, and I don't know how many times you're on the Power 50 for ASI, but it was often enough that I remembered. What does it mean for you to have recognition like that for the work that you do?
Whew. I was surprised, and still, you know, we always get our accolades internally within our organization,
Hmm.
but to receive it from peers that you work with, and sometimes don't even really know on a personal level, for them to nominate you, it means a lot that you had an impact that could have been greater than that transaction that you had in business.
Yeah.
And that meant a whole lot to me. But it
Yeah.
also, in this industry, kind of breaking the mold. I'm not a middle-aged white man.
Absolutely. You're not. No,
You
I
know,
mean,
I'm not
that's,
selling IT services. I'm not
no,
selling you art services. You know,
yeah,
it's breaking that mold, and I felt very proud of that.
you should. And I think that's funny you mentioned that. This podcast drops on the 22nd. So the podcast that drops on the 8th, well, I'm having like space-time continuum issues, but is with Nanette Gray, who is lovely. And one of the things we talked about is, what were the unique challenges she faced being a Black woman working in a primarily male white dominated industry. And she had some great answer. I mean, it was a great conversation. And I think I love that you brought it up. I love that she was comfortable talking about it because I think we need to have more of those conversations. We shouldn't be afraid of calling out the elephant in the room that, yeah, Kenny does not look like most of us in the industry. That's
Yeah,
okay. And I love the fact that you break the mold.
yeah, I owned it. You know, you walk in the room and it's like, okay, it's my time. I get to
Yeah.
set the tone of what my identity will be in this space.
Absolutely. No, I absolutely love that. Now, I know you have, before we continue, you have a question you want to ask me. I don't even know what this is. I'm getting a
Hmm.
curveball and I like it.
Okay. So the big buzzword in the world right now is AI, and
What does
I
that
have
stand?
adopted
What does that
huh?
stand for?
Allen Iverson.
Oh, super, man.
Yeah,
This Philadelphia 76er practice. Talking about
there you go.
practice.
Um, Artificial intelligence, and
Yes.
we all hear it on the business side of it, and that's great. What I would like to know is how has Bill Petrie adopted it in his personal life?
Personal life, not
Yes,
professional?
not professional.
Okay. Interesting. Before I answer your question, interesting you brought this up because my little preamble before bringing you on talking about AI, one of your beloved brands, Allbirds, you know what they just did?
What did it? Oh, they just turned into a technology company.
They decided, yeah, it's not like we're integrating AI. We are not even making shoes anymore. We're now an AI company, which is
Yeah.
crazy to me. I mean, it is such a pivot, but I digress. Personally, I don't use AI a lot. I because I use it often like as a collaborator. That's how I use it professionally. I use it as a collaborator. So every client I have, I train a specific AI client to understand that brand voice. So I have, because it's just me, so now I have a kind of a colleague to bounce things off of. Gets things wrong a lot, but it helps me sharpen what I want to do and
Yeah.
make it better. Personally, I've done it for a couple things. Vacation planning, I've done it for. I mentioned that we're taking the family on vacation to Jamaica. I used AI to do some research there for me, and that's been helpful. But I actually get away from it more than I probably should. I embrace AI. I'm an adopter of AI, but I also like thinking for myself.
So you like to barbecue and
I
smoke
do.
meats.
I
I'm not a
do.
meat eater myself,
I
but
know.
how do you believe that AI could potentially enhance your skills, or are you just top dog in your mind?
Uh, I'm not top dog. I'm always learning, and I've used AI for things like that occasionally. I mean, there's times I use it. I think I probably it's funny. I think professionally I use it really, really well. I think I'm very forward thinking on it. And then personally, when I use it, I think I basically am an idiot and I use it like, oh, it's a new Google.
Yeah,
I'm
right, right.
and I'm not necessarily proud of that, but that's the truth. One of the things I think AI is a great tool, but it is just that, a tool. And I don't ever want to lean too heavily on it. And the biggest comparison I can draw is maps. When I was a kid, I loved maps. I loved an atlas. I loved globes. I just loved the magic of looking at the state of Mississippi and looking at the roads and how to get there. I find that magical. My kids couldn't read a map if I said, I've got $1 million and I want you to read the map. They couldn't do it. And there's something that's a little heartbreaking about that. So I don't want to become so reliant on technology, whether it's AI or not, that I would ruin my barbecue experience. I bet I could make my barbecue better by really digging into AI, but I like the suffering That goes along with making bad barbecue after sitting there for 10 hours and you screwed up and learning from that because that's a great teacher.
Yeah, that's the human element.
Yeah.
I so appreciate that answer, right?
Mhm.
And you see how AI is taking over the world, but from a personal standpoint, I haven't really met anyone that has adopted it into a lifestyle. From
Yeah. It's closing off of things. One of the things that is really concerning to me is the lack of boredom that we have
Mhm.
just as a society. I mean, when was the last time, and I'm not talking about you, Kenny, but when was the last time you were bored? Because that's when I do my best thinking. Why do people do their best thinking when they're going to bed at night or in the shower? Because there's no stimulus. Their mind wanders.
Mhm.
And because we have, these magical cell phone devices within an arm's reach, I mean, shit, people look at them 300, 400 times a day or
Yep.
they're playing games and stuff. So I've actually started to adopt some intentional boredom time in my day where I just kind of sit. It's not even meditating, but it gets close to it, quite honestly. But I just sit for a good half hour and just kind of think about things. And it
Yep.
helps me solve more complex problems that are human problems that an AI client couldn't do.
Yep. Totally agree. Very similar. Very similar. You
Awesome.
need the boredom time.
You do. Love it. Hey, so you mentioned your very incorrect Mount Rushmore of comedy. I'd like to discuss that.
Sure.
Let's review. So your Mount Rushmore of comedy is Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle. All, by the way, phenomenal comedians. I'd like to challenge you a little bit. Let's go back and forth on this. I'm with you on Richard Pryor. You cannot have a Mount Rushmore of comedy without Richard Pryor. I would also say though, you can't have a Mount Rushmore of comedy without George Carlin. I don't know who you kick off, but I'm kicking somebody off. So Chris Rock, I'm sorry. Thanks for coming. It was a good try.
Okay, I'll take that swap. That's fair.
Okay. And I have another swap though, and this one's hard for me. I'm gonna pull off Dave Chappelle. I love Dave Chappelle, I really do. But I got to put Steve Martin on there. He's a genius. He is a genius.
Nope, that's a challenge.
Okay, tell me why I'm wrong.
Steve Martin
Yeah, he's a wild and
and
crazy
Eddie
guy.
Murphy are very similar in their comedy trajectory on how they changed the game of delivering that message. Steve Martin certainly did it with
Okay,
SNL and movies, and I think Eddie Murphy had his share.
yeah,
When you look at Dave Chappelle,
hmm,
he didn't have the acting side of it, right?
that's
But he
fair.
certainly had the storytelling and
Okay,
the connection to what was happening to a human
okay.
in
You know
society.
what? You've convinced me. We're going to keep Dave Chappelle on there. We're going to
Yeah.
toss Eddie Murphy and put in Steve Martin. I agree with you
That's a
there.
coin flip, and I'll give you that. So
The
it's
only reason
fair.
I would do that, because I also love Eddie Murphy, is Steve Martin did it first. I always love a
He did do it
groundbreaker.
first.
But Eddie Murphy can't beat. And I've got one more. This is
Go.
going to be tough. So Dave Chappelle is coming off. Maybe not. I don't know. Tell me. I was thinking Robin Williams. I was thinking Robin Williams. He really changed the game in terms of that hyper-ness, but I don't know. Chappelle might need to stay on there. Can we chisel a fifth face on there and throw
Well, listen,
Robin Williams up
Yeah,
there?
the comedy Mount Rushmore could be anywhere in the world, and
Yeah,
there's plenty of mountains to carve these faces out. I'm good
yeah.
with it.
I,
I'm good
I
with it.
just when I saw your list, I'm like, okay, all those add up. And I love Chappelle, but boy, I feel like have not having a Robin Williams on there or a George Carlin, and there's probably a million other ones we could put on there for
Yeah,
sure.
and which ones are pushing the limit
Yeah,
from a human element, right? It's good to be funny, but which
yeah,
ones are making you think?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, Kenny, before we go, let me thank our sponsor. May I thank you? This episode of Between Two Brands has been brought to you by the Good Strongs over at Coaster Stone and Buttons Galore. And that's home of the original absorbent stone coaster with that combination of stone cold quality, striking decoration, super low cost per impression, retail packaging, and unmatched value. David Glenn and his team are ready to help you make a rock solid impression with your clients. Email them at promo@coasterstone.com today. Kenny,
May I give you
thank
a
you.
shameless plug? I
Yeah,
just happen to have this on my desk.
oh, yes, he has the Promocations Costa Maya coaster. I love that. That is a great shameless plug, and it's a great coaster.
It's a fantastic coaster. It is my everyday coaster.
I would say they are the Fossa of coasters.
They are the Fossa of coasters. Great job.
Kenny, thank you for the years of friendship. You've been a great friend of mine for more longer than I can even imagine. And thank you for coming on the podcast today. We're going to definitely have to do this again sometime.
Thanks for having me and see you soon.